Hello, we are Group 4, and we will be presenting our NFC Android app. In order to understand the transference process, we must discuss NFC. NFC, or Near Field Communication, is a set of communication protocols that enable two electronic devices, one of which is usually a portable device, such as a smartphone, to establish communication by bringing them within 4 centimeters of each other. Our program validates that the phone supports NFC, NFC beam, and has NFC enabled. If not, a warning is displayed. Our app will allow Android devices to transfer photos, transmit files, and send messages. Now we will review the photo transference option in the app. After launching the NFC transfer program, the user will be presented with 3 buttons. They are Select Photo to Transfer, Select File to Transfer, and Enter Message to Transfer. The screen will look like the following on the slide. Now we will review the photo transference option in the app. After clicking on the selected photo to transfer button, the user will be taken to Select a Photo dialog. The user must click on the desired photo and it will be ready for transfer when they bring the phone in contact with the target device. Now we will review the File to Transfer option in the app. After clicking on the File to Transfer button, the user will be taken to the File dialog. The user must click on the desired file and it will be ready for transfer when they bring the phone in contact with the target device. Now we will review the message sending in the app. After clicking on the Enter a Message to Transfer button, 2 new items will appear on the screen. The user must enter a message in the text box that contains the words Enter a text message and press on the Send Message button. The message will be ready for transfer when the phone is brought into contact with the target device.
Hi, I'm Dan Rich, Group 4. I'm going to demonstrate our NFC transfer app today. Here's our phone. Here's our app. And I have 3 options. The first option, I don't know if you can see it clearly, is send photo. The second option is send file. Third option is send message. I'm going to start with send message. And when I press that, I get prompted for a message and I get a send button. I'm going to enter the message. And I'm going to dictate the message instead of typing it to demonstrate that all of the normal Android functions still work. Please pick me up some tomatoes, some blueberries, and some yogurt. And see, I got the message, and now I'll press the send button. And I'll bring this phone around, and I tap to beam, and it sends the message, and now you can see the message. Okay, for the next option, we're going to do send a photo. Tap on my photo chooser, pick photos, and I'm going to pick this photo, and bring the phones together again. So tap to beam, start beaming. And now I have to wait a little bit because the photos are a lot bigger and it takes a minute to transfer them. And it's still transferring. And it's finished. So what I can do now on the phone that received it, pull down the app, display it, and you see the photo. Okay, and the final option I'm going to display is send file. File to send, and then again, put the phones together, tap to beam, and it's transferring the file. It's finished. So now I go back to this phone, look at the file, and you can see the file. It's very small, but I think it's there. And that's our app. Thank you very much.
The programming design is comprised of 4 parts: the Android manifest.xml, the activity main.xml, the icon files, and the main activity.java. The Android manifest.xml file is used to configure the runtime environment for the program on the Android. It contains a list of required permissions, hardware, and other various lists. It specifies the launch icon, the program title allows backup, and sets the display theme. Importantly, for this program, it is also used to disable null NFC transfers and the screen orientation from changing. The activity main.xml file contains the screen layout. This includes all the buttons and other widgets, their characteristics, what is visible or invisible on the initial display, and the relative locations of the widgets to one another. The icon files are generated by the Android Studio by supplying a graphics file and choosing various settings in new image asset in Android Studio. Details will not be reviewed in this document. This file contains all of the Java code for the program. This class is responsible for displaying the screen, setting up callbacks for NFC transfer, collecting the information entered by users, supplying data to the NFC transfer methods when an NFC transfer is initiated. The following section describes each of the methods in this class. The methods of this class are onCreate, message send btn click, create beam URIs, create ndef message, and on activity result. The onCreate method is called by the Android OS when the program is launched. It does the following things. First, it checks if the device has NFC hardware. If not, a message is displayed stating the problem for a few seconds. The program then proceeds normally, but will not be able to send any files or messages. Second, it checks that the current version of Android supports the NFC beam feature. If not, a message is displayed stating the problem for a few seconds. The program then proceeds normally, but will not be able to send any files or messages. Third, it registers callbacks for NFC message transfer and NFC file transfer. More specifically, it tells the Android OS that when an NFC transfer is possible, to call the create beam URIs and create ndef message methods in this class. The fourth registers a method in an anonymous class for the selected photo to transfer button press. This method launches the select photo dialog. Fifth, it registers a method in an anonymous class for the select file to transfer button press. This method launches the select file dialog. Sixth, it registers a method in an anonymous class for the enter a message to transfer button press. This method makes the message text and send message button visible. Seventh, it registers a method in an anonymous class for the send message button press. This method makes call the message send btn click method. The send btn click method is called by the onCreate method. It takes the message that was entered by the user and puts it into a class string variable and sets the message to send class variable to true. The result of this is that the create ndef message method will return a message in the form of an ndef in the NFC data exchange format. The create beam URIS method is called when the system detects that an NFC beam transfer is possible. For example, when two phones are held next to each other. If the class variable file to send is set to true, this method returns a URI for the photo or file select and sets file to send to false. Otherwise, it returns null, which stops the Android OS from proceeding with the transfer. For example, it does not prompt the user to initiate the transfer. The create ndef message method is called when the system detects that an NFC beam transfer is possible. Again, this occurs when two phones are held next to each other. If the class variable message to send is set to true, this method returns an NDEF or NFC data exchange format message for the message entered by the user and sets message to send to false. Otherwise, it returns null, which stops the Android OS from proceeding with the transfer. This can be seen when it does not prompt the user to initiate the transfer. The onActivity result method is called when the user returns from a photo or file selection dialog. If the user selected a photo or file, a URI for the file is stored in a class variable, and the file to send class variable is set to true. The result of this is that the create beam URIS method will return a file in the form of a URI when called. We hope you liked our app. Thanks for listening.